Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Check out the title of this piece. Haven't really talked about this topic with you guys in probably a while. I can't even remember the last time this came up. It's titled Ripple Exploring Entry into Global Micropayments Industry. Now, does this have anything to do with XRP? I will be getting into that. I'm also going to briefly talk to you a little baby boo bit about Coil, and then I've got a fun piece that I want to share at the end of the video. Not exactly XRP related, but fun nonetheless. It's from Daily Hodl. It's titled Bitcoin Misery Index Signals Bull Run Brewing, says Fundstrat Research. And I know that's an XRP-centric channel, and I'm much more concerned about XRP price, but let's be real here. XRP is moving in tandem with Bitcoin price-wise, so I want to follow this a little bit too. Now, before we get going, if you would please delicately tap that like button, and if you're a fan of Ripple and XRP, go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. It does a body good. Ripple is taking a hard look at how it can expand its reach beyond the cross-border payments industry. The company's senior vice president of product management, Ashish Burla, told the Change the Wave podcast the company is exploring how it could play a direct role in the emerging world of micropayments. And now here's a quote. As a product person, I'm thinking about what's next. And so while we think about payments as the initial use case for Ripple, I'm thinking about what other cool products can you build that we can take back to our customers. One of them being microloans. So if you go into parts of the emerging world, a $10 loan is a big deal. It's called a microloan. I think you could do that blockchain in a way that couldn't be done. That you couldn't do with other technology. Burla didn't mention whether XRP might be involved in a Ripple-led micropayments platform. And I talked about the idea. I talked about decentralized finance somewhat recently because Hodor brought it up in his log, and just the idea of utilizing, for instance, your XRP as a loan for something else, something to that effect. And I kind of postulated that, okay, maybe something like that could happen down the road. It's certainly not an unreasonable concept that Hodor put forth. Even so, I think with the volatility of cryptocurrencies in general, it's not the fault of XRP specifically, but just the frenzy around the markets resulting in all this volatility. It makes me wonder to what degree could you have meaningful loans if they're collateralized specifically by cryptocurrencies. Now, that's not necessarily what Ashish Burla is talking about here. And so, because again, he said, if you go into emerging parts of the world, a $10 loan is a big deal. It's called a microloan. And so, loans that small, they weren't even reasonable to consider for tons of reasons. Most of it has to do with the requirement of, a central authority, fine. It's okay to have a central authority if you have a business and offered a loan, but in terms of, just imagine the amount of paperwork typically associated with loans. I don't know that it would ever have been reasonable without a completely revolutionary technological, coming of cryptocurrency. I don't know how you ever would have made it reasonable cost-wise to ever consider a microloan like that. And so perhaps it's not as needed in the first world, but there are people around the world that would indeed find this to be incredibly beneficial. And so if it's technologically possible, one might think that it would actually be coming down the pike at some point. And, Brad Garlinghouse, he has stated numerous times in the past how, from his experience, it is ideal if you're a company to know what the hell you're doing, to be laser focused on whatever it is that your mission is. If you don't know, if you've never heard of this, it sounds silly, but Google the Peanut Butter Manifesto. It's by Brad Garlinghouse back when he worked at Yahoo. It is essentially the concept of spreading yourself too thin as a company, back when he worked at Yahoo, like peanut butter on a piece of bread, which sounds silly, but that's what it's called, the Peanut Butter Manifesto. And the concept seemed to make a lot of sense. It's that Yahoo was trying to be everything, and as a result, ended up being nothing to anybody, nothing meaningful. They kind of lost their way. That's the way that Brad Garlinghouse saw it. And so when he came on board with Ripple, especially the role of CEO, his whole thing was, hey, laser focused, what are we doing? And actually, it's funny, he was on with Ripple so early. It was back when they were trying to figure out if perhaps they should go the route of smart contracts first instead. And they didn't think the ecosystem, I'm not going to get into this video, but they didn't think that the ecosystem, with where it was at developmentally, they didn't think it would have made sense to move forward with that. And so they ended up moving into what they're doing today, which is creating the Internet of Value, helping money flow around the world as seamlessly as it is to move information today. And so those are all things that they had to figure out here. But once they figured it out, Brad's whole thing is, this is now our mission, this is what we will do. Now, it doesn't mean that businesses can't do other things down the road, but it does mean when you're trying to change the world in a really transformative way, maybe Brad's got a point and you just kind of stick to that and then get to the rest of the stuff later, right? Anyway, the piece continues here. Last month, the company revealed it will invest 1 billion XRP in Coil, a web content monetization platform designed to give people a way to reward content creators in XRP, as well as other crypto and fiat assets. Burla says Ripple's diverse group of employees is pushing the company to think outside of its headquarters in the San Francisco Bay Area and beyond the borders of the United States. And here's a quote. "We started hiring people with other kinds of backgrounds. We started hiring folks that were raised in places outside of the United States. Folks from Thailand, from Mexico, from Brazil, parts of Africa as well. And you know what? We unlocked something that we never would have unlocked before. That the problem wasn't in the United States. The problem with global cross-border payments was actually acute in places like Latin America and a lot of the emerging markets around the world. We would never have guessed that having grown up in the United States. It took diversity. It took their perspective. That changed the course of Ripple. Our hottest markets are outside of the U.S. They're in Africa. They're in the Middle East. They're in Southeast Asia, and they're in Latin America. And it's diverse perspectives that pushed us into that area." According to Burla, he's also interested in launching a new Ripple office in another U.S. city, partly to open the doors to new talent. And then here's a quote. "I have a strong passion for bringing more kinds of diverse talent into Ripple. One thing that I'm focused on is whether there's an opportunity to open up another development center for Ripple in another part of America that we can bring job opportunities to, and also tap into a resource that's not fully exhausted like the Bay Area's engineering talent." So cool stuff. So, I'm not expecting any major news on this front developmentally, but Ripple, they have, I wish I could be a fly on the wall in some of their meetings, because of the stuff that they are aware it makes sense to tackle coming down the pike. I bet we'd find it highly fascinating, and I think that it's going to be in many ways very transformative. The way that money moves around the world, things that it would not be economically reasonable to have done in the past, perhaps like microloans, could make all the sense in the world moving forward. All right, here's a tweet from the Hodl Style. Tagged me in this with some other people. Oh, and also, by the way, for watching this, the Hodl Style, I haven't responded, but I did get your direct message also. Thank you very much, and thanks for making me aware of this. I'm happy to spread the word for people that are supporters within the XRP community. And so, the Hodl Style tweeted this out. "Our founder is pushing for more diversity on the Coil platform rather than more of just more XRP-based content. Learn about the early evolution of humans on this first blog post. This is exactly the type of diversity we need on this platform." And that's awesome. Indeed, on Coil, there's a lot of XRP talk going on. So, given that somebody is coming along and writing about something else that is of genuine interest, I wanted to go ahead and share this because I think it's healthy for the entire ecosystem. Now, full disclosure, I have not read this, but it doesn't matter. I want to go ahead and just spread the word. Coil's getting used. And as time passes, it's certainly my hope that writers from all walks of life would find it appealing to share their content on here. We want the platform to thrive. It's good for ILP. And it's good for XRP as a result. So there you go. If you want to check it out, I encourage you to do so. All right, last piece now. And this is from Daily Hodl. "Bitcoin Misery Index signals bull run brewing," says Fundstrat Research. And then they got a bunch of forecasts for cryptocurrencies, including XRP. I don't really want to delve into that too much. I'm more interested in the top part. I found that a lot more fascinating. So anyway, the head of research at Fundstrat says the firm's proprietary Bitcoin Misery Index, BMI, suggests a rally may be on the horizon. Tom Lee just shared the company's analysis from the end of July, which predicted a summer of sideways consolidation for Bitcoin. According to the analysis, a drop in the BMI toward a key level of 50 points indicates Bitcoin may be set to rally between October of this year and February of 2020. And so here's the actual tweet that they got on the screen right here from Thomas Lee. It states, "For those wondering if the Bitcoin Misery Index is useful, it told us markets would be trendless after July. We shared this with our clients on July 30th. And so then there's a screenshot of that too. And let me scroll down a little bit further. The BMI features a scale from 0 to 100 and is designed to offer investors a look at how miserable Bitcoin holders are based on the leading cryptocurrency's volatility and price. Last year, Lee described the mechanics of the scale to CNBC. And here's a quote from Tom now. When the Bitcoin Misery Index is at misery, which is below the number 27, Bitcoin sees the best 12-month performance. A signal is generated about every year. When the BMI is at a misery level, future returns are very good. Which I find quite fascinating that the data does show that. And so that's really at the heart of what I wanted to share with you. But I will say, so if you've listened to me for probably more than one video, you know I do not make price predictions, but I find it fun to cover price action in videos. Look, I'm an XRP enthusiast just like you. I find that type of content just as interesting as you do, and I'm always wondering exactly where that's going to go. And I like to talk about people that put their thoughts out there, especially if they're chart analysts or have some sort of background, something that would make it reasonable to believe, hey, maybe this person knows what they're talking about. For me, though, I'm all about fundamentals, and so while I don't offer financial advice and I don't make price predictions, I will say that I firmly believe that the all-time high that we have seen of XRP at $3.92, according to Live Coin Watch, that will not forever be the highest price XRP achieves. I think that we're going to be looking at the crypto asset class, I don't know when, at what point in the future, but given how few people the world over are interested in it, or are actually invested in it, versus the potential, I think that you will see some cryptocurrencies, just individual coins that have multi-trillion-dollar market caps. I can't imagine a world where that doesn't happen. And it'll be easy. Once that does happen, everybody and their brother, mother, and sister, you know, like they can come out and be like, oh yeah, of course, hindsight makes it a lot easier to see things, doesn't it? Well, I'm telling you right now, without having that advantage of hindsight, I believe it's coming. I really do. And if you look, as far as the infrastructure that's being built out, not just around XRP, sure, XRP fine, but around the crypto asset class in general, you can look at what's going on with Bakkt, you can look at the expansion of Binance and other exchanges, all sorts of stuff. You know, I'm sure ETFs are on the way. It could not be more clear that the asset class is here to stay. And the evidence is there for those that are willing to seek it out. And I was willing to seek it out, and I'm willing to bet that if you're listening to this channel, you've done your research as well. Maybe you're not done doing your research, and I'm not either. I'm always researching. I'm learning new stuff every single day. But at this point, I feel like I've done enough to get part of the big picture, which is crypto's here to stay, and I believe that XRP will be one of the major winners here for the long haul. And for those that invest early, again, not financial advice, please take that to heart, but I believe it can be truly transformative for many people. From a lifestyle perspective, let's say, for those that have enough XRP and those that hold long enough. So that's just an opinion, just my opinion. But that's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything, because if anything that I say are right, that would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!